Hello, welcome to another release of SATEL Smart Vlog. This is Luisa. Previously, you had the opportunity to meet Krzysztof, who is an expert in alarm and smart home systems with more than 20 years of experience. Krzysztof and I began to discuss the B-Wave system configuration created using the dedicated configurator. If you missed the first part of our discussion, you can watch it by clicking here. More about the configurator itself you can find in the 4th episode of our Smart Vlog. We ended the first part of the conversation talking about the equipment needed to remotely control underfloor heating. Today, we will continue the topic of smart management of our smart home. Another item of equipment on our list for automation is roof windows in the attic. So, as our guest would say, after you. And let me add a further question about the roof windows in the attic. I'd like to control them remotely. Tell me, which device from the B-Wave offer should I use in order to be able to conveniently open and close windows using the app?
Here too, we will have an in-wall controller. However, in this case, no longer a 2-channel one, but a dedicated one to this device, namely smart blinds. Thanks to this clever device, we will not only be able to open and close the window, but also to select appropriate percentage of opening, that is to decide whenever it will be unsealed to some degree or completely open, according to our needs.
That's great. And what else will the smart blinds be used for?
The smart blinds will mainly control anti-burglary roller blinds and facade shutters. What does this involve? Besides allowing us to adjust the percentage of the window opening or closing, the facade rollers shutters offer option to control the slats. We can fully close the slats and reduce the incoming sunlight, which might even make air conditioning unnecessary.
Awesome! This is important and I should keep this in mind for the future. And tell me, what device should I use to automate the operation of the sprinklers and make the lights in the garden turn on at dusk and off at dawn automatically?
When it comes to operation of the sprinklers, as with underfloor heating, we also make use of electric valves, which will operate using these 2-channel in-wall controllers. But for outdoor lighting, I recommend the use of dusk detector. That is, can you remind me what is the name?
Outdoor Dusk Detector.
Yes. With this device, the light will automatically turn on or off when the sun goes down or rises. But of course, we should also recommend that we do not lose the possibility of traditional lighting control, which means that at any time of the day or night, we can turn on the light or off on our mobile app or traditional wall switches.
While we're outdoors, perhaps you can tell us a little more about protecting the property. Are the 2 outdoor motion detectors that the configurator selected for us sufficient?
These 2 detectors are absolute must. They will protect our garden. However, I would further increase the protection with curtain detectors, which install along the fence.
How many detectors do you think would be needed for the fencing around the smart home?
This case is very simple. Such a detector has a range of about 10 meters, so we calculate the length of the fence and select appropriate number of such detectors. Of course, the installer will help us to choose the right number and set the sensitivity of those detectors. In addition to this, I would still secure the gate and the wicket. Why? Because it is the first entrance to our private property, and it is good when we are informed of every gate or wicket opening detected by the system. Naturally, we remember that these are universal detectors for use inside the home. However, by using such a dedicated enclosure, this detector can also be successfully mounted outdoors. Here, we have a special protective insulation so that when closing the enclosure, we can be sure the device is tightly sealed and not exposed to adverse weather conditions. As we are talking about the weather conditions, we need to remember that our outdoor detectors should also be adequately protected with protective hood. We have such hood on both outdoor motion detectors and outdoor curtain detectors.
That's great. Okay, these are very important tips, especially the one about creating additional protection along the fence. This will minimize the chances of an intruder getting inside the house and doing damage there. And I'm not just talking about the theft of goods, but also, for example, the destruction of valuable family heirlooms. Not to mention that unpleasant feeling that a stranger was in our house and rummaged through our drawers.
Yes, but in this context, we should also mention our comfort and convenience. Let's remember that we can also use the device to run some equipment. For example, entering our property through a wicket or a gate can switch on the light in front of the house, which will lead us safely to the entrance door.
Cool. And tell us, would you add anything else to our system?
Yes, I have prepared a list here. Certainly, a smart button is a very interesting device. Imagine a situation like this. You go to bed, then suddenly you realize that the lights are still on the ground floor and you haven't closed your blinds. In this situation, simply reach out, press the smart button, all the lights go out and the blinds close, and you can safely lie down and forget about all these basic problems.
Fantastic.
But that's not all. Smart plugs, for example, are obviously about convenience, but there is more to it than that. It's also about cost control. With this device, we can control power consumption of equipment connected to them. For what? See my own life case. First one, for example. My son, who loves listening to music, but so loud that the whole neighborhood can hear, as is common with young people, he listens for a while and then forgets to turn it off, and the music is left playing. I come home and get frustrated. After all, who's going to pay for it? So now, listen. I take out my mobile phone and say, "Son, look, this is how much your distraction cost today, and this is more or less the share of your pocket money in the next electricity bill." It works every time. Monitoring power consumption of devices can also help us quickly notice if one of them does not work quite right. Another situation from my home, my wife recently moved some boxes around the refrigerator. Unfortunately, she stacked one of the boxes so close that it blocked the output flow and to the outside of the fridge. What happened? The fridge compressor was working overtime and it was consuming more power. Of course, it wasn't very much, about 20 or 30 zloty per month.
But it's still a cost.
Yes, within a year, this will add up to considerable amount. Not only that, nowadays, when using photovoltaics, we can avoid such additional power consumption costs as to enjoy free energy from the sun for as long as possible.
Sure, everyone today is looking for savings.
But hold on, we haven't mentioned one more device. I mean the multi-sensor. It is a device that can, among other things, test the level of humidity in the air. For example, we have a bathroom in which we can check the humidity. When it exceeds set level, this information will be sent to our system, which will activate the fan using the in-wall controller. Of course, most fans feature this function and can easily do without this device. But which of these devices allows you to switch off the humidity measurement when you want to sit in the bathroom for a while and enjoy the bath?
Oh yes, nothing's more relaxing.
But the multi-sensor is not only about convenience. We also remember that this device provides us with protection against excessive humidity levels in the room, which will allow us to protect our home from occurrence of mold, which can appear in the walls after excessively high humidity. Of course, the name multi-sensor suggests that we can expect more than just humidity measurement, and rightly so, because this device can also measure temperature and atmospheric pressure.
Oh great! It really is a useful and multifunctional device. I can see that in front of us are lying devices of a color other than white. Does this mean that B-Wave family offers products in different color variants that I can choose from, for example, to match the color of the facade, doors or windows?
That's right. Obviously, the basic and the most universal color is white. But in addition to this, B-Wave products are available in colors such as gray, brown, anthracite, and even black.
Excellent, because for example, such an anthracite color will go perfect with the color of the windows in the smart home, so it's great that they are on offer. Krzysztof, thank you so much for our conversation, for sharing your experience, accurate tips, and practical advices with us.
I'm glad I could help. You can always count on my support and a good advice when it comes around to smart and safe systems. See you soon then.
That's it for today. Thank you for staying with us to the end. I hope that Krzysztof and I have cleared up your doubts and answered the questions that troubled you. If there is anything else you would like to know, let us know in the comments below the episode. We'll do our best to answer all your questions. In the next episode, we will meet again in our smart home to launch the system, add and configure the first devices. See you soon. Bye!